I've come to realize more and more sales is part and parcel of everything that we do. You're also selling when you go for an interview.
I do not want to use people to build a business. I want to use a business to build people. The more I talk, the more I make mistakes. You need to listen. Don't talk so much. It's not just a transaction. It is a connection.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Human Exchange, or THX for short, a platform where I want to discuss all things potential, performance and purpose in a real, raw and hopefully relevant way across themes that covers both our professional and personal lives. As I always say, here at THX, I like to engage with humans, not just experts, although the humans that I do bring on does have expertise in the area and the topics and themes that I like to talk about. Now today I've got a friend of mine, Ronny. I've known Ronny for quite a number of years now, and throughout this time that I've known him, I've always had the impression that he's a great business sales guy, right? I've only come to know a little bit more about the kind of work and business that he does lately. But today I got Ronny here because I first want to talk about this topic that we do talk about, but I think we perhaps could do better with a different mindset or perspective shift around. And I first want to explore the thought of sales. Yeah. And the reason why I want to talk about sales is I've come to realize more and more sales is part and parcel of everything that we do, both professionally and personally.
Yes.
If I think from a professional aspect, well, we've got sales, you got the typical salesman type of person, right? Selling insurance, selling cars,
selling a product.
Yep, any products, that kind of thing. But you're also selling when you go for an interview.
Yes.
You have to sell yourself,
Correct.
right? You have to sell your profile, your skill sets, the value that you can potentially bring to an organization.
Yep.
And of course, from a personal point of view, we are selling all the time, right? When we think of a new hobby that we want to get our friends involved in, maybe it's pickleball or Magic the Gathering cards, I don't know, whatever that floats your boat. You have to sell those ideas. Either sell an idea of a new car to your wife, or holiday, why these things we should spend, and even dating, if you are going out, if you're not married yet and you're meeting people, right? That's what you're doing. You're trying to create a sense of value to the other person.
Even as simple as you're going for lunch with your group of friends and you got a nice place you want to introduce them to, right? You still have to sell it to them. You still have to influence them. Let's go to this place. This is great because of A, B, C, D, E, right? Yep. So you are actually influencing and selling every other day of your life, actually, if you want to put it in that context.
Yep, brilliant. So, Ron, maybe before we get into our conversation, I think it would be beneficial to our listeners to, if you could introduce and say a few words about yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Sure. Hi guys, my name is Ronny. I'm just like you, an ordinary individual, but I do have exceptional expectations for myself and for anybody who works together with me, because at the end of the day, to me, is I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference in my life. I want to make a difference in anybody that I come to contact with, because I believe in this. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So from the day I come up to the marketplace, I told myself this: hey, can I make a difference? I don't need to make huge differences. I don't need to be standing in a crowd of millions of people. I can just do one life at a time. And you know what? That's why I choose sales. Because I can connect one life at a time, and I can make a difference with every individual that I connect with, right? So I think that leads me to, I want to start my own company. I want to be an entrepreneur, because at the end of the day, how do I make that happen is I do not want to use people to build a business. I want to use a business to build people. Right? So so I think that's just a bit about me. I love technology. I'm running a tech company. I love board game. If you love board game, please connect with me. I'll play board game with you every other day if I can. Yes, that's a bit about me.
Great. Thanks, Ron. So maybe tell us a little bit about your business, like what sort of or what areas of tech does your business cover?
From the top level, generally everybody in the tech environment will talk about AI, right? So yes, we use AI. We don't build AI. We actually uses data and how can we actually embody some sort of machine learning into our business and make sure that it actually makes sense to our customer at the highest level. Right? So if we now trickle it down, it's about how can we optimize for our customer, how can we make sure that their business stay lean and mean so that they can make a difference in the place that they want to do business with. And last but not least, in the lowest level, we do typical things like switching, routing, Wi-Fi, we give solution, or more typical, if you are in this business, you know, as a system integrator.
Okay. Sounds like almost like an end-to-end kind of like
yes.
a service,
solution provider.
One-stop provider. Okay,
yes.
Great. Yes, so, I first want to talk about the topic of sales. Maybe share with us your journey into sales. What was your first experience in it, or maybe the first job, and
I think I can use this word katak di bawah tempurung lah, right? So I really, when I first came out, I don't know nuts what is sales, what is marketing, HR, finance. I just want to get a job. So I was 24 years old and my parents told me, nope, you need to get a job now, that's all. So I went out and looked for a job. And long story short, I landed myself in a company and then they hired me and then I was a sales engineer. So what I did for that 12 months is didn't sell anything because I don't understand what to sell. Right? So I learned how the market work, who are distributors, who are principal, who are customers, and what do customer really want. I learned couple of things in the first year as I come into the marketplace. Learn to listen. Don't talk so much. Because I thought we need to talk more, right? Right? To make an impression. But I thought, no, listen more.
What were some experiences that gave you the realization? Because I think if I were to think from anybody's perspective, even my own, when the tendency is if you're result oriented or result driven, you want to make a sale or you want to make a point, right, that will lead to a sale. You tend, the tendency is let's talk, let's engage.
Correct.
Let's give you more info.
Correct.
But what are some experiences that you can remember that made you realize like, oh, maybe that's not the best approach and I should start listening first instead?
So out of the three things that I learned in the first 12 months, the first thing is listening, right? So I don't understand. Why can't I talk more? Because I should be holding the conversation, right? So one of the experience I have is, I engage this new prospect of ours. Go there start talking talking about the company, talking about what we do, what we sell, the product. The more I talk, the more I make mistakes, the more wrong thing I say. Right? And then it creates a situation. How do I know I say a wrong thing? Right? Because they ask me questions, I don't know how to answer. Because I just want to tell you. I'm not engaging a conversation. Right? So the more I tell, the more they ask, the more I fumble. So, better don't talk so much right? So then my senior back then tell me, actually you should learn to listen more. Let your customer talk more. The more they talk, the more information you gather. The more information you gather, the better position you are in understanding your customer. So that first 12 months, I really have to retune myself to, okay, if I don't talk more and I want to listen more, then how can I make my customer talk? Correct, right?
Yeah.
Then is where I learn the second trick, is learn how to ask questions. Asking questions is really the key. Right? It's not about giving information. So that's the second thing I learned. First of all, don't talk so much. Number 2, ask question. And number 3 is really read between the lines of what the customer is not saying. That one take a bit more experience as I go along, right? So these are 3 key things I learned as a sales engineer in my first 12 months. I wouldn't say I learned, I realized that I need to learn. Yeah, so yes, that's how it all started in my sales journey. Then after that, I said, you know what? With these 3 skills, that if I can acquire this skill, maybe I can be a good salesperson. So what did I do? So I don't know how to be a better listener. I don't know how to provoke questions. So I went for drama class.
Drama class.
Yes. Because I like acting, I like drama, I like theatre. So I enrolled myself to a drama class. So
Interesting.
And learn how to act, how to speak, how to understand communication that is non-spoken.
Yeah, because communication is not just about sending and receiving messages.
Correct, right?
Yeah, so many other elements
Exactly.
to that. Body language, learning how to
Exactly.
read body language.
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere, it's this professor, I think his name is Albert Morabian. He did a research, and this research came out with this statistic, right, that so if you were to look at 100%, out of 100%, the 3 elements that play a factor in how a message or how communication is perceived, the first is body language, and that is like 55%. The next is the tone that you use, that's 38%. And finally, your words only play 7%. So if you think about it, your body language, the tone that you use, plays a huge factor, which is something that I think many, including myself, right, don't often pay a lot of attention to. Yeah.
Correct. So hence I went for a drama class to really learn how to communicate and how to read people.
Yeah.
Reading body languages,
Yeah.
reading their tone, and how to speak in a certain way, right? So so I think that's where it all started.
Yep. And on that, I think even with your own body language, because people pick it up, it's kind of like the energy you bring.
Right.
So if you go into a conversation where you have a lot of nervous energy, you're very kanjiong, you're very over-eager, I think people can pick it up.
Yes.
And that's where this kind of energy, contrary to what we want to achieve, it actually makes people a lot more defensive.
Precisely.
I can think of, friends who, or acquaintances who try to sell me things, right? Whether it's a personal product or it's for my company or business. If they come in with this overzealousness, I already tend to have my guard up and
Correct.
go like,
Because we interpret it as pushy.
Yes.
But that's not the intention, right?
Yeah.
Because they are just don't know how to control the energy. So they exert it in, like keep pressing it onto you, so then, but actually they don't intend to be pushy. They know they shouldn't sell in that manner, but because they can't control it, so it's come across as pushy.
Yeah. How would you coach somebody who is, maybe they have that tendency to exhibit that pushy, nervous kind of energy? How will you coach them, or what kind of advice will you give them to, tone down, to be more in the moment, to listen first? What kind of advice or coaching
So there are a
would you
couple of
apply?
ways, right? I think fundamentally it's about preparation. Before you engage with any conversation, especially professional conversation, not just a friend having, a teh tarik session, right? But you're actually engaging a conversation to want to influence. You must be prepared. Prepared in what sense? Fundamentally, you must be prepared with the product knowledge. A lot of salespeople, a lot of us, because I'm also a salesman, right? Or saleswoman nowadays, right? So we think we can wing it. I can speak. I can communicate. I can talk. Then I can always easily engage. But unfortunately, with AI in place, with generative AI, with ChatGPT and all these, consumer or the one who's buying has enough information in hand. Actually, it's so easily accessed, right? Accessible in terms of information. So now end up they are actually having an interview with you whether do you come prepared? Because I am prepared. Because I've done my homework. I check GPT, this is what I'm looking for, roughly what I want, right? So when you come onto the table, are you prepared in terms of your product knowledge? So this is number one. And that one you can get anywhere. If you're working for an organization, they should have all the collateral for you to even read through, to understand. That's the most fundamental. Then goes to the second point. Second point is you also need to understand personalities. You need to do homework, right? Because if you study personalities, sales, I'm sorry guys, girls, you're dealing with people. You need to understand personalities. Personality doesn't mean that they are clever or not. It's just their way of communication, the way they want to receive information, right? So yeah, so if you understand personality, then you're able to cater your conversation better.
What are some tips that you can give to a budding salesperson or on how to perceive or read somebody's personality? Because chances are, well, if you're prospecting somebody from a B2B context, maybe you can look them up on LinkedIn or whatever. But even then, that kind of info that you get is very surface, right? But it's a whole different ball game when you're sitting in front of a person and you're engaging with them. So what are some tips or hacks you can give to somebody when they're engaging with somebody to maybe perceive the kind of communication style they have or the way they like to receive information or some of their priorities? Any tips?
So very simple. I think when you're in a conversation with somebody, so you know, if they ask a lot of questions, means two things. Number one, they're curious. Number two, they need a lot of data to make decision. It's only two. So if you find out that they ask a lot of questions and you are able to give accurate answers that they can accept, you will know that you already engaged. Those are the individual who most probably very meticulous, who wants data to make decisions. So but are you ready? Are you prepared? Then you have another group of people that you come in when you have this conversation and they talk nothing other than just what they like to do, what they like to eat, where to go, this show. You know, this individual will only spend 3 minutes with you talking about the product, but the other 95 minutes talking about any other thing just to make sure whether there's a connection. If they feel connected with you, then what happened? The 3 minutes means a lot already in terms of selling the actual product. Then you have another group of individuals, you say, hey, I got no time, I got only 30 minutes for you, chop chop. I'm sure all of us come across individual like that. Yeah. So you know those individual, you must be really prepared with a 3-minute speech. So preparation is still the key, right? So knowing that there are different type of individual. So first of all, are you ready before you sit down with anyone? Where the conversation will lead you in terms of the personality. If an individual asks a lot of questions, you must be ready with facts. Preparation. If the person got no time, I only give you 20 or 30 minutes, go straight to the point. You know that you must be prepared for a 3-minute pitch to get it across. And then ideally you find somebody who like to talk a lot with you, talk about any other thing, who can yamcha every other hour. That's the easiest because it's just about knowing what is happening in the market. So you must also know your general knowledge. You know what I mean? So I think it's all really about preparation. In sales, you need to really understand and read people in the conversation. Yeah, I think this is a tip that a lot of us miss as we engage with individual. Either it is a B2B, it's a B2C, right? So it is the same because you're still dealing with individual.
That's very insightful because I think I fall in the last category that you mentioned. Although I won't limit, depending on my schedule, but I won't, I will be a bit more gracious. If I can give more time, I'll give more time. But I'm generally a very big picture, straight to the point kind of person.
Yes.
So if I'm interested in a product or if somebody is trying to introduce me to a service or a product, I will usually have certain questions. I'll ask, okay, what's the price? What does this cover? What can it deliver? That kind of thing.
Yes.
But I have met people who, even though I ask these questions, they then tend to over-explain.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking for the details. I'm looking for the big picture.
Correct.
And I do find myself in those moments feeling like, okay, this is not a particular interaction that I want to be in, versus somebody who can accommodate my communication style or the way I like information, where they give me the big picture. This is what it is, and if I like it, most of the time I'm like, okay, cool, I'm
We can take it
fairly
further.
interested and I want
We
to
can
take it further. Yes, but there are those that, they come in and maybe they think that with more information, I'll be more convinced, but it's not always
It
the case.
doesn't work like
isn't
that all the time.
It depends on the individual and their
Correct.
preferences.
So in other words, I think you asked me for tips. The tips is this: as a salesperson, we must be ready for all these different personality, so that when you get into a conversation, you engage straight away.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's not easy, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible.
yeah, yeah. All of this that we shared with you so far. As you were speaking, I was reminded of some time ago. I think it was maybe about a year or year and a half ago. I was in IOI City Mall, the huge one in near Cyberjaya, Putrajaya.
One of the biggest mall in Malaysia now.
Yeah, yeah. So how in malls they sometimes have road shows where the automobile providers, they will set up booths and they will be selling their cars, right? So I walked past this one booth first, and their main product was a sedan.
Yep.
So I remember the salesperson coming up to me and immediately was already trying to get into the features of the sedan, the price of it, the attractiveness of the new tech, blah, 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 blah. So very, very pushy, for lack of a better word. And I was just like, no, and plus it was a bit crowded, and my kids were, they were taking their time. So I was slowing down, but I wasn't slowing down because I wanted to talk to him. I was slowing down because of the circumstances around me. But I did not find myself particularly drawn to that conversation. And a few minutes later, I walked to another section of the mall. I came across, I remember, the Kia section.
Yep.
And they were promoting one of the MPVs. I think it was a Kia Carnival.
Right.
So the salesperson came up to me and just asked. He started talking to me, but he opened up with a question. He was like, he's like, are you satisfied with the way your family travels right now? And I'm like, oh, interesting. What do you mean? He's like, well, what car do you use? And I said, okay, I drive an SUV. And he said, do your kids find it comfortable? Do you find that you have enough space? And then I found myself thinking, actually, I think my son is kind of outgrowing it because, his legs are getting a bit long, so he kicks my seat. And then I thought about it, I could do a little bit with more boot space, And then he was like, oh yeah, have you ever thought about driving MPV? I was like, no, MPV is not really my thing. And it's like, oh, but they've like, what do you like in a family car? And I was so that interaction got me very, very curious, even though I had very little intention to buy a car or change my car, right? But just with that alone, he managed to convince me to book a test drive with him because I was just so drawn in by it. And then, I found myself one day.
So let's dissect that, right? I think first of all, it's asking the right question.
Yes, he started with the right questions compared to the earlier guy where he just wanted to push the features.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's always about asking the right question, right? And number two, is asking question that leads you to think.
Yep.
Right? I think it's so important. I think as our role, as we are the frontliners, so to say, right? In sales, we must always know how to ask the right question. And asking the right question has to see the makeup of that moment.
Hey everybody, taking a moment from our conversation to tell you that this episode is actually sponsored by our partners, Medicos. Now, I personally don't really like wearing masks, but when I need to, I go to no other brand except Medicos because I find that they are the most comfortable, but they also offer the most protection compared to all other masks in the market. Now, in front of me here, I got the M99 Flip range, which is designed for comfort. It is something that you can wear all day at the mall, in the office, and you can even speak through it. It's 5-ply, so really, really designed for comfort. For this range, you can find it on their online store, Medicos online store, or all their e-commerce platforms, Lazada and Shopee. Now, back to the episode. Yeah, and I think he was very strategic in identifying me as a customer.
Exactly.
Because if I were to think back, I remember there were maybe a couple in front of me and maybe other individuals in front of me. But when I was walking past him, he could see that, hey, this is a family of 4. Got 2 kids. So the product that he had
might
was yeah, it looked like there was going to be
Yes.
a natural fit, right? Compared to, I'm just thinking, the guy that was trying to sell me a sedan, it wasn't even those big family sedans. It was like those B class sedans, which is
Yep.
more of like a mid-size kind of thing, So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think really being able to link or know what kind of problem or value that you're bringing to your customer
Exactly.
it helps a lot.
Yeah, definitely, because at the end of the day, prospecting is still the key for sales. I cannot go and sell a motorbike to a family of 4 who's walking down the street that easily,
Yep.
right? So I think a lot of us sometimes we see an individual, is a prospect.
Yeah.
But actually, it's not true. Not every individual is the right prospect. They are possibility, they're real, but they are not right most of the time. So you have to really, from our perspective, the next second year I really learn is how to do prospecting. The first year I told you the 3 things, right? Then the second year is really understand, hey, I can be spending so much time with so many people, but I still get 0 result because my prospecting is wrong. Right? It's all about asking the right question to the right prospect.
What are some criteria to make sure that you are prospecting correctly? What must you fulfill certain things, or do you have
Fundamentally, you must know your product. Your product will give you an idea what sort of prospects that you're looking for. If you are giving an example, if you are selling a super bike, you see a family of 4, you will not go to the man and say, you want to buy a bike? He might be a biker, but that's not the right time too. So prospecting is about timing, it's about knowing your product and positioning it at the right moment. Right? You like bike, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of time, let's put it this way, if you're out with your family, you might not want to look at that as a product at that moment as they sell to you, or they want to influence you. At your own pace, okay, I come back to you, give me a card, I contact you at my personal time because it's my family time. So number 1 is really knowing your product. And number 2, you need to read people. Because reading people is about reading timing. So important. Yeah? What do I mean by reading people? Where they are at that moment. If you are walking just with your wife, just for example, the same scenario, okay, in a mall, I don't think the salesman from Carnival, selling Kia Carnival, will approach you. You're not the right audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think these are 2 key things that's very important when you actually do prospecting. Know your product and able to read your demographic of people that you're targeting.
Yep. And the timing as well.
Timing is always the timing.
Yeah, because sometimes it's not an issue of whether your product is not good enough, but it could be that it may not be the right time. And that's, I think, something that those who are in sales, is a reality they will have to face.
Yes.
There are certain things that are perhaps evergreen, right? At different times of the year or months, you can introduce that, but there could be certain things where it may not be the right timing. Like, for example, if you have a really, really good system that you want to introduce to a company, and you look at the company, you study its business, you hear the stakeholders talk, you know that, hey, this is the perfect thing for you. But there could be certain things that they may not be sharing. Maybe they are focused on other areas of the business. Maybe they're going through a transition or a change, right? Or maybe they're solving a crisis. So this is something that it is not for them now, but it does not mean it's not for them forever. Correct. So yes, the timing is really, really, really key.
So in year 2, I also learned another thing, that is follow-up. Follow-up is the key. And I got 3 buckets of follow-up. I got the low-hanging fruit follow-up. I got 6 months to 9 months. Okay, this one goes into this bucket. I will not catch up it until much later because they are not ready. And then I got the last group where, you know what, this company might not give me business because they don't need our services, our solution, but doesn't mean this individual, when he moves to another organization, an opportunity might arise. So I got 3 buckets of follow-up. To ensure that whenever individual I connect with, right, excuse me, I will put them into these 3 buckets and see, and I actually come up with a plan when to do the follow-up.
some would use the terminology hot or cold leads, right? So there are leads that are hot that you
Yes.
can straight away capitalize on
Low-hanging
it.
fruit, low-hanging fruit.
Those are warm. It's like maybe you can do something to tip them over the edge, or balance the scales in your favor. And then you've of course got the cold ones, right? It may be
very far off, or they might not have opportunity now, So, but they are still important because they will grow.
On the issue of follow-up, like I think it goes back to what we're talking about, being pushy. So how is there a way that we can follow up sincerely, genuinely, but not seem pushy? I don't know. What do you have any kind of like principles that you apply to that approach?
I don't have an ABC to follow up. Really, I don't, right? However, the way when I communicate, when I talk to individual or I talk to my customer or my prospect, two things I always look for. Number one, how can I build better rapport? But that is a very misleading word, rapport. Because I can know everything about my customer, but my customer might know nothing about me. Does that consider as rapport? In my vocabulary is no. Right? So then the next question about rapport goes to, how do I measure rapport? I'm going to spend time with you. Right? I'm going to spend X amount of hours that I cannot spend with another prospect or another customer or another client. I give it to you. What is the measurement to ensure that the time spent is worth it? So to me, it's very simple. I have this very simple thought process. I know I've achieved rapport if I can ask my customer, my prospect, or my client to do what I want them to do. If they can't do it, they can't give me a sales, they are not willing to bring the conversation forward,
or they can't even give you any insight to the timeline,
or
they don't want to.
Yes, so then you know that no matter how much time you spend with them,
or how much you push,
means nothing.
So
now I break it even to more granular. So in sales, there are different stages. When you first get connected with an individual, they do not know you, you do not know them. Then how do I now measure this rapport? Simply put, are they willing to set up meetings for you? If they can't even want to meet, they don't even want to meet you, you can put into another bucket lah. Really. So you need to understand that's the push and pull factor. When you push, they must always have a response. If you don't see the response, then your next question is, should I continue? Yes, for the second time. For the third time. But every time you reconnect, you must use a different method. If you use the same method and you want to see a different result, then you're just being foolish lah. You know what I mean? So let's go back to this whole rapport as I was saying. So in the early stages when you connect, right? So he must be able to set up meetings for you. Not just himself. If you got a leader or a manager he reports to, he's able to bring you there. Because at the end of the day, he could be a strong influencer. His leader or his manager could be the decision maker. But you also need to know, right? So if he can do that as the conversation goes, it's a plus point. Then you know you can continue to ask and continue to build. If you can't do that, then that means you know it's not going anywhere. Then you should put a full stop and revisit it the next quarter. Because in our business, it's generally the sales cycle is every 3 to 6 months, right? So if this quarter is very defensive, not ready to open, then move on to the next quarter to follow up, so that it doesn't sound as though as every other week you're trying to ask something from him or from her. Right? This is step one. Now he's very willing. Come, let's go yum cha. Let's have a chit chat. You build rapport, right? Then how do you now grow this rapport and see result? I mean, in our commercial space, all organization has budget. And all organizations have an org chart. Now we need to pull this data out. So my rapport is they do what I ask them to do, right? So stage 2 is to get data. And they're still willing. Then you know the time investing on it is both ways.
Yep. And that's very important in B2B sales because sometimes it's not just one decision maker. It could be a multiple, right?
Multiple influencer, a group of decision makers, not just one.
Yeah. So
right?
you may also have to
influence and influence
whether it's worth your while. Because you
correct.
could have you could open one door, but then suddenly realize you got 20 other doors that you need to walk into, and then you gotta ask yourself, from a commercial point of view, is this even viable or feasible for my time?
Exactly, right? And then you know who are your competitor, right? So all these are slowly driving to build rapport. So building rapport is not one-way ticket. It's not you getting to know your customer, coming back and report to your management and say, oh, A, B, C, D, this is what he's do. It's not just about that. That is important, but it's also both ways. It's like a barter trade lah. You have to create an environment. It is a trade between two individuals or two companies.
Some of the best people that I've come across, best in building rapport, I've realized that they are, again, not exhibiting that nervous energy. They are not in a rush. They're not kanchiong. And generally, this is very general, I find that they don't open up with trying to get sales in the first or even second meeting.
Yeah.
The first, second, third meeting can be quite fairly casual, can be just understanding, talking. And I think, I was just thinking about this. I think a lot of it has to do with the mindset as well.
Yeah.
It's about whether we believe this thing called abundance versus scarcity mindset, right?
Yeah.
I think if we carry an abundance mindset, meaning that we recognize that there are many opportunities and there are many moments that opportunities can come, then I would suggest then, I would like to think then that we will not be so kanchiong, so nervous, so pushy. We are able to be present in the moment, being able to invest in the connection that we have in front of us, hear from them, listen. And I think that's so important. That's also related to follow-up, because sometimes what drives a person to want to follow up consistently is, especially if you feel like the lead is very hot or it's already in the low-hanging fruit bucket, but somehow or rather you're just not clinching it, you're not closing it, then that whole tendency to, or the whole anxiety, like, it's there. But I think it's also worthwhile to take a step back to go, okay, if I'm not closing this in the timeline that I think it should be closing, I ought to take a step back and reevaluate and recognize that if I can't get this now, there are plenty of other opportunities. There are plenty of other options available, and this one, I can just always come back to it. And I think that's so important, because if I were to think of how it applies in other areas of our life, getting jobs, there have been times where I have been so keen on a job, where I go, wow,
all the way, right?
Like I really want to get this job. So they always tell you, you should follow up with the interviewer, you should send a thank you message, do all of those things.
Yeah.
So there have been some roles where I felt like I nailed the interview. My foot is more or less, my whole body rather, is more or less through the door, but I don't end up getting it. And then I beat myself up over that, and I end up I find I either then wing it in the other opportunities that present itself, because I have this disengagement that happens in me, or I'm just not motivated to look for other opportunities because I've already been rejected, So I think that a whole ability to apply an abundance mindset is so important.
It's true. I think at the end of the day, the best way to negotiate is you don't want to negotiate, right? The best way to do sales is you don't want the sales. That's the optic that you want your customer to get, to understand, right? Just look at all the high-end brands. Have you seen, I don't know, I can say this, do you see Rolls-Royce doing any marketing? advertisement anyway?
No, they won't hard sell you.
They don't. They don't need to. Because they know where they stand. So they don't need to sell to you. So that's always the position, right? So as an individual, as a salesperson, if you understand, doesn't mean that you do not want the sales. You do. In your heart, you're going crazy. I want it, right? What can I do to get it, right? But as you carry it forward in front of your customer, it has to reflect that, hey, if we can do business, it's excellent. I would love to have you as my logo. If you're not ready, it's okay. I know I have other prospect customer waiting in line.
It's really like dating, isn't it?
It is.
It's like, you want to show that you are interested enough to the other person, but you don't want to come across as too eager.
Exactly.
Because then they go like, what's your
then
deal?
they're in control, then they press your price, that you're not in position, to negotiate because they are in position, right? So they are in the position of status and power, right? So that's why it's very important we understand how to play this status, especially in meetings. That's why as a sales individual, we are supposed to hold meetings. We shouldn't let the meeting go anywhere and everywhere they want. Right? Yeah. So that's why it's so important. We need to understand that, and that's where on my third and fourth year of the marketplace as I do sales, right, I realized that how to be a leader and not how to sell, because being a leader, selling is part and parcel, right, of a bigger picture. So if you can lead your people and lead your customer, then you can influence them, right? And when you can influence them, then you have a greater control of the situation. Lack of a better word, right? So that's where I think I realized, I need to build my leadership skill. Not just sales skill, not just negotiation skill, closing skill, preparing awesome quotation, but also leadership skills.
What does leading your customer look like?
I mean, generally, to give you an example, leading is influencing, right? And especially in a meeting, when you have a one-to-one or a group meeting, you must be the one holding the meeting. That means you must be holding the highest status in the meeting. Yeah, your customer have CEO, have C-levels or have senior management, but that doesn't mean you can't hold the meeting. So what does that then translate into actual action or task, right? Is to ask the right question so that you let your customer or your prospect to share, to talk, right? Because the best way to do this is always, they don't like to be sold. They like our customer or prospect like to feel that they come up with the idea of buying. No one likes to be sold, right? So I think that is so important. So asking that sort of question, leading question, and holding the meeting, especially in discussion where it is very challenging conversation, especially talks about commercial, talk about pricing. All right, so it's very difficult conversation. So you don't let your customer hold the conversation. You need to be guiding the conversation by asking the right sort of questions.
A very interesting or helpful framework that I have came across some time ago was by this guy who wrote a book called something along the lines of the principles of negotiation. So it was this ex-CIA guy that helped the US government handle negotiations or facilitate negotiations. But he talked about this simple but very insightful framework of how instead of discussing or debating your individual position, try to dig below the layers and unearth individual interests. So a position could be like, I only want to sell you at this price. And they could be, I only want to buy from this price. So what happens is when you go into an interaction, you're coming with a position versus a position. And in those circumstances, usually people wouldn't want to budge. Right?
Both sides would not budge.
Like in any personal interaction as well. If I have a position where I think a certain team is the best. You think a certain team is the best. So in those moments, it's very rare or even almost impossible to find common ground, right?
Yeah.
But in order to do that, we must both be able to, or rather the person leading the conversation should be aware of their own interests. Yes, I have a margin I need to make,
Yeah.
but I need to be able to dig out the opposing or the opposite party's
Yeah.
interests. Why
Yeah.
do they want to only buy at this price?
Yeah.
Is it a personal thing that they need to win?
Correct.
If I get a good price, means I win.
Yeah.
Then you can maybe find other ways to supplement that, give
Precisely.
throwing freebies or whatever.
Yeah. Correct.
Right? Or
Yeah.
maybe there are other things that you are not aware of. Maybe the company does need this, but they are on a tight budget, but they don't want to say. You know, maybe the business is not doing too well. They don't want to say. Or maybe they have other competitors in the pipeline, right?
Yep.
So you can only dig out all this information if you, understand your customer, read their behavior,
Yes.
but also ask the right questions.
But I think more importantly is in any negotiation, I believe in this. It's never about win-win. There's no win-win in a negotiation.
Interesting. Why do you say so?
It is always about lose-lose. Really, if you think about it, either give up something, the person that negotiating or the company that negotiating have to also give in to something. So the idea here is this, right? If I ever walk out feeling satisfied or happy, or I think I won the negotiation, then my customer will feel really bad. They have lost. And that's not a feeling that you want your customer to feel. You see? So I'm not a customer. I'm here trying to sell, a salesperson. So that's why the mindset is always, I must walk away feeling I lost something. And they also walk away feeling that their compromise is worth it. So it's a lose-lose concept. It's rather than a win-win concept. Right? So because it's a win-win concept, you just look at how can I win? If I can't win, you can't win, then how do we win? Wow, so it's so difficult because the reason of a negotiation is you cannot win. If not, you don't need to negotiate. If you can win, you go in with whatever you want. They say yes, then you win. They also win because they get whatever they need. It doesn't work that way, right? So yeah, to me, it's always how can we find a lose-lose position? It might not sound very optimistic, right? But it's very practical in terms of understanding negotiation, at least for me.
Interesting perspective. I've not really thought about it from that angle, but something to mull on.
Yeah, to ponder on, right?
Yeah. You know, some people do have this objection, for lack of a better word, I myself included sometimes, where we find selling or being very upfront about whatever that we want, putting ourselves out there, it's a bit cringy, it gets a bit self-conscious. So a lot of people also equate sales to the type of characters that you find in used car dealerships or even insurance sales or MLM, multi-level marketing sales, that kind of thing, very pushy, very aggressive kind of a thing. But how would you encourage or coach somebody to help them have a different perspective on sales, considering that up to this point, we've been talking about how sales can be beneficial to you?
Yeah, I think fundamentally is communication. The first level of coaching is really we have to learn how to communicate verbally and non-verbally. Just give you an example, right? I have a sales skill of 7 out of 10. Katakan lah, right? You know how to negotiate, you know your product very well, you know how to find your prospect, you prospect very good. Wow, so the sales skill is 7 out of 10. However, your communication is only a 4. Let me make it even simpler. The individual you're trying to talk to cannot understand Mandarin, and you can only speak Mandarin. So can you sell? You can't. You are as good as your communication. So in stage 1 of any individual is to really learn how to communicate. Because you are as good as how you communicate. So if your communication is an 8, your sales skills is a 6, you can still get away with a 6 to a 7. But if it's the other way around, you're as good. So go for drama class to learn how to communicate, or at least practice. In the mirror, practice your pitch, right? So you must communicate. So what I do with my people is I actually have mock, a mock run with them.
Like role playing.
Role playing, yeah. I am the customer. Now, how? With different personality style. Right? And then I also have role play if you have to present to a group of people. How will you then present? And then I give pointers, to improve on and whatnot. So I think that is the first coaching that needs to happen.
It sounds like what you're particularly talking about is confidence, right? Having the kind of confidence to, engage with people, to put yourself out there. Because if I were to think about why there's this self-consciousness that exists in us, it sometimes can come down to as simple as a lack of confidence, where we feel like maybe we don't have value to bring, or we're not an expert, so we don't feel confident. But with preparation, by practicing role playing, we can beef up that confidence.
Yes.
Right? It's like
it's all preparation. It's all really about preparation.
Yeah.
Before you put on an act.
It's a simple, going back to our schooling days, right?
Yes.
If you know that you've prepared as much as you possibly could, you cannot remove all the nervousness going into the exam hall, but you can minimize it.
Exactly.
Because you know that, well, if I already studied the whole dang syllabus, there is no possible way that they can ask me something that I don't know.
You might not know. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Even if you did, it might just be 1 out of 100.
Yes.
So that kind of knowledge or understanding will give me confidence to approach it. Hi everyone, before we continue with our conversation, I want to take this moment to ask a favor from you. If you have been finding the content and direction of THX to be valuable, can you do me this one favor and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as the Spotify platform? This will give me an indication or an idea of how helpful or how valuable what we've been doing here at THX would be to you. And if you want to go even a step further, I want to invite you to subscribe to our Substack at thehumanexchange.substack.com. It's a mailing list, and the intention that I have behind that is to give you further insights to some of the topics that we've been talking about, as well as build a community that will be interested in exploring the themes of performance, purpose, as well as potential in both our professional and personal lives. Thanks everybody, and now back to the episode.
Correct. Because at the end of the day, I have 3 categories of sales. As you journey in this sales journey, right? I think fundamentally, all salesperson, individual, must be equipped with product knowledge. You must know your product inside out, whatever you are selling. Then you must know your unique selling proposition, so that you know lah. That's the fundamental. But I've come across individuals who come and approach me. They don't know what they are selling. They just want to yum cha and get to know me. Nothing wrong, right? But all of us are so busy. All of us got our own priority. So do come prepare lor. So I think that's what the minimum expectation of any customer would have lah, for anyone who approach us, right? So that is level 1. Anything before that, you got a lot to learn, right? So when you reach that level 1, you're good at it, then you have go to level 2. The level 2 is this. You're no longer just selling a product. You're selling results. Follow me through. If somebody who have all the paper qualification as a salesperson and know the product inside out, and then another 2 person exactly the same, but one have a whole list of customers. Some of the name you might also know. Who will you buy from? The one who have shown result. So it's to build that confidence in having results. Because at the end of the day, customers buy results. They know the product. They will do their own homework most of the time. Right? But the third stage is really not just results. They buy a feeling. They buy a feeling called trust. I'm not sure. Have you come across any individual come and approach you after having a conversation with you? At the back of your mind, you'll be thinking, hey, if I ever buy, I think I'll buy from this guy.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, there's this trust established. And that is the most important stage of any one of us to build into, to reach this selling position of you're selling an emotion, a trust.
What are some elements in that feeling of trust? So obviously you got solid product knowledge, you've got
Results.
genuine results. Then what are some of the individual elements that we can kind of like look into that a person should have that would garner more trust when they are putting themselves out there or when they are interacting with customers?
2 or 3 things, right? Number 1, understand your customer personality. Because you need to speak their language. So
the impression
important.
that you create.
Exactly, right? Yeah, if somebody who is very, laid back and you are trying so hard, it won't work. So personality, understanding your customer personality is very key. And then number 2, you must always approach from an empathy perspective. Understanding what your customer really need. A lot of time we just want to sell. Because to be honest with you, it is not the fault of the salespeople who keep wanting to sell. It is a system that we are put into. Because we are being measured weekly, monthly, quarterly. Always a number on our head. If you can't achieve it, the door is just next to you. Right? So it is that pressure that the salespeople have to go through. That's why end up what they do. They are very pushy. But at the flip side, if you start young in your sales journey to learn how to be empathetic and understand your customer. You see, understanding is one thing, have empathy is another thing. So develop that skill to have empathy. Right? Then you start to understand, really understand. Yeah, and then when you communicate, you know that you are not here for your own interest. I'm here for your interest too. Don't get me wrong, I have interest. I have invested interest. I need to understand your invested interest so that both of us can move forward together. And that's my job as a salesperson. It's not your job as a customer. And that's where it leads to emotional selling.
Yeah, this word empathy, it's used a lot in this day and age. And I find in order to understand something, it's helpful to know what the opposite of that thing is, right? So like for example, you already know what heat is if you've experienced cold, right? So just a very simple illustration. But one very helpful perspective I've gotten on empathy was this person said that the opposite of empathy is not apathy or even sympathy, but projection. So what he's trying to say is that because empathy is I feel as you, I see things from your perspective.
Yes.
But the opposite is I will try to project my perspective onto you.
So true.
So we sometimes say the people give unempathetic responses. For example, when somebody loses their job,
Yeah.
we then would naturally try to comfort that person by saying, you know what, there are plenty of jobs out there. You are very employable. Your company was not treating you well anyway.
Yeah.
But what we are doing in that moment is we are projecting some of our own opinions onto that person when that person is not wanting that. It's not that it's not true, but the person is not wanting that in that moment, right?
Correct.
Same with sales. I go back to again the example that I used in IOI City Mall. So that guy who wanted to sell me the sedan, he was not empathetic because he was trying to convince me that you should buy a sedan,
Yeah.
even though I had really no interest
Yeah.
in getting a sedan.
Correct.
Versus the guy who was trying to sell me the MPV, where he tried to understand.
Yeah.
Hey, you are a father of 2 young children. You know, maybe you even might want to have more. I don't know. You know, you prioritize the comfort of your family. This could be a product that might interest you. So
Yeah.
that's the empathetic approach. And
Correct.
as I said, I ended up going for a test drive.
Do you like the car?
No, I was just curious, right? You know, and I just felt like,
yeah.
man, you know, I thought, why not? You know, I
Yes.
wasn't completely closed off.
Yeah.
But I was
planted
open.
a seed in you, right?
Yeah,
in
I
that
was,
context,
I was
right?
open. I was like, hey, yeah, you know, I've always wondered what it'd be like to own a car like that. So
So I
that's
always
empathy.
use this word, right, with the people that I deal with is, guys, girls, don't be transactional.
True. Great insight.
Yeah, if we are not careful, our prospect, our customer, will look at this as just a transaction. When they look at this as a transaction, it's always easily replaceable by anybody else. So it's not just a transaction, it is a connection that we need to establish.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that well, then you will never reach the ultimate sales position where you sell a feeling of trust. Yeah. So that's how I share with my team when actually we look at this from a sales perspective.
Great. I've been really enjoying our conversation so far. And I also just kind of want to tie in, you know, you shared these 3 things, right? You shared the having that product knowledge, being able to demonstrate results, and then having that connection or the feeling of trust. You know, I was thinking how that is a helpful framework that even applies to job hunting, right? You know, first you have to understand the kind of value you bring, right? Yourself, your own knowledge, your skills, your experiences. But then sometimes people, when they do resumes, they just end up writing tasks. But if you're able to write down the results that you delivered in other organizations, you know, that's gives you a more competitive edge.
Right.
And finally, how you present yourself in the interview. I think that's why when there are many people who give tips on don't ever say I don't have any questions when you ask at the end of the interview, do you have any questions? Because that is your time or your opportunity to actually build that kind of trust with your potential future employer.
How can you not have a question in an interview? You don't know the company well enough for you not to have any question. Right? Generally, right? So I've interviewed enough because as I run my own company. So when I ask anyone, to be honest with you, a little tip for those who are hunting for a job, if you're being asked, do you have any question? If ever you say no question, highly likely you will not get the job. At least from my perspective, right? You should have question. Right? So cannot say no question.
So you know you're running your own company now. How much of maybe just share a little bit about your journey building your own company. How long has it been?
5 years. I started 2020.
And I would suppose sales was a big part of getting the company off the ground.
Definitely, right? Yeah, because business is still the most important factor in that context. To grow the company, you need business. So sales plays an important role, yes.
Yeah, and I think what is helpful for people to also know is that even if you go the professional route, as you grow higher, climb higher in the organization, eventually if you reach the director or C level, it's becomes more and more about sales, right? Because if you are a CEO or chief commercial officer or whatever, you know, you're at that level, you're tasked to bring in more businesses, right? To increase revenue. Even if you are a CHRO or CTO, CIO, supposed support function, you have to be able to sell your ideas to other stakeholders so that you can get those things implemented, right?
Precisely.
So, I just thought I put a caveat or rather emphasis on that point. Journey with us a little bit on or tell us a bit about your journey, a little bit about building your company. How much of it? What was some of the What was it like?
Okay, to be
some
honest with you, I never
principles?
thought that I will actually be an entrepreneur or start a company. I was quite comfortable working for an organization for 15 years. You know, I'm very, very comfortable. They are very kind, they treat me well, right? So to cut the whole long story short, I mean, it's not the right avenue to talk about why I moved, but I end up, okay lah, let's go lah, right? And give it a try. And the crazy part here is I am a kid that believed in 2020 lah. When I was in primary school, secondary school.
Wawasan
2020 was a big thing lah, right? So, so 2020 came, right? And then I was like, oh, it's the best time to start. And Tun Mahathir was the prime minister. This is the best year lah, right? So all the stars align. Let's go. And then COVID hits lah, right? There's a whole different ball game.
And Sheraton move happened, right?
And
Even though this is not a political channel, we don't want to go around and around, but those in Malaysia will know.
Yes, but COVID happens, hit us big because we are a startup and we can't go out to do sales. We can't connect with any new prospect. We're stuck in my small little house, you know, and try to continue this business. But everything falls into place, was good. So I have good support or good rapport built with my customers and prospects. They supported me during that season, right? And we pull through. But I think the biggest challenge to grow an organization is how to scale it and how to make it still relevant, right? And that's where I am continuously evolving and continuously changing. And nobody likes changes, right? That's the toughest thing to do, right? Is to change.
Yep.
Yeah, so when we first started in 2020, I think there's few of us. We all wear short pants, wear slippers, go to office, and we start work at 10:30 and at whatever time we want. You know what I mean, right? The startup culture lah, right? But you reach a point now where you can't. Things to be structured. You need processes. You cannot do this. You cannot do that. You cannot wear short pants. You need to come dressed properly, working attire. So all this, and also time, working hour. Can you work from home? Must you work in the office? Right? Wow, that change is really challenging.
How would you rate the success of change that you had to go through right now? Because you started as a small company. I mean, I have a little bit of context and background knowledge of what your business. Yeah? So you started with a small company, small team,
Small
but
team.
now you've grown to be a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Even your revenue size has grown.
Yeah.
Your your customer base has grown.
Yes.
You know? So what was some of the changes you had to implement, and how would you rate the success?
I think number one is not so much of the changes yet, it's actually investing back on the talent. And how I always have this in mind, how can I ensure that I grow the people that is working with me up the value chain? They can be just a typical engineer or typical administrative support staff. Now, can they go up the value chain? Right? I think that is the foundation of this whole change, right? And it's not easy but it's still very, very, very important, because my principle is this: I am not using people to build a business. I'm using a business to build people, right? So I think that is first and foremost a huge mindset shift from when we first started and where we are now. You know, as to share with you, when we first started, I think we started about 4 or 5 of us. Right? And now we are managing 1,300 sites nationwide. Yeah, so, and I have 2 different offices right here in Klang Valley, and I have a lot of point of presence in every state to support our customers who needs our support. Right? So the team has grown tremendously. So first thing we did is, even though we are small, we want to put process into place. So we go for ISO 27001, slightly more technical, right? So to ensure that we have the right process so that we can scale. Whether we practice it on a day-to-day, right? But we ensure that we understand what it takes to scale,
Yeah.
right? So we adhere to it. Outset at 2021. Yeah, 2021. Yeah, we're still a very small team. You know what? Let's go for it. And I still remember getting ourselves certified in ISO 2001. The paperwork that we have to do is, oh my goodness, right? So, but it was a good journey, and we're still relying on it as we scale. This is number one. And number two is really investing back to the people that we have, right? And finding the right people to do the right thing. So our changes is not so much on just processes, our changes is in roles.
Finding the right fit.
Yes.
Rather than trying to make the role fit to the person.
Exactly.
But let's find the person that will fit the role. And that's based on the processes that you've drawn out.
Exactly. I think that's very, very important. And that's not easy because some of us think that, hey, I'm actually good at doing this. I've been doing this for the past don't know how many years. Now you tell me I should change? No, because it's the whole, we are a creature of comfort and creature of familiarity. I'm familiar with this, but the fact that the result doesn't tell us that way, why don't you pivot? Right? So I think that conversation, that changes are actually much harder than changing in processes.
Would you describe yourself as a process person?
Wow. I think I am. Yeah, I think I do. Because in any conflict that we manage, internally or externally, the fundamental thing we must always resolve first, is there a process issue before a behavior issue? Right? I mean, that's how I look at it, right? Yep. So let's put the process and nail down. If it's a process issue that create the conflict, let's fix the process first. Because that's very easy, that's very visible, and we can see result very fast. But there's nothing wrong with the process, then it's a behavioral issue. And then we need to tackle it differently. So that's why process is important, because it helps me in managing conflicts.
And I've also worked with some companies, and I've observed this, that many times why companies, first and foremost, your business has to keep growing. If you stagnate, you plateau, you're in danger, because decline is just around the corner. And that's just the way the business world works, right? Your company has to keep growing. I think more and more people need to recognize that. That's why if you see your boss, being very anxious or being very driven, it's not because, well, maybe he's generally a very ambitious person, but I think most successful people would, or most people in the business world with enough experience will recognize that, number one, your business has to keep growing if you want to have any form of sustainability. That's the first thing.
Totally agree.
I think secondly, in order to grow, you are right, you need to have more processes. It's kind of like the anchor and the foundation to fall on. Because if people are the foundation, it's tough. So I've seen a lot of businesses fall into the trap as well. They try to accommodate people's preferences and everything. But you gave a very important point. Processes are important, right? So overall, I look at it this way. First is your business strategy, followed by your operating model, which is where your processes are. Finally, only your org chart comes into play. So that's where you look for the roles to fill.
Correct.
But some people have it the other way around, right? They have the business strategy, then they put the people, and then the processes follows the person. But what you end up doing is giving yourself a lot of situations where you have to firefight. Because different people will have different preferences.
You're right.
Or the people come and go. So every time a new person comes in, they start a whole new process.
Exactly.
And then that causes a lot of confusion, which leads to friction. So setting the process.
But the process is never is a mean to an end.
Correct. So it follows the business strategy.
Correct. The strategy still holds the ultimate decision making. Because the strategy is our principle of how we want to do business with the market, right? So, but if a lot of us, I also check myself, if I too focus on the process, then there's a lot of red tapes.
That's what you don't want to create as well a lot of bureaucracy.
Correct.
That slows down progress.
So we need to be agile, right? Because everything is about how fast we can deliver now, how fast is the customer experience, how fast can we ensure that, to hook our customer or hook a prospect in, right? So let us not lose sight of that strategy, but the process is a guideline to ensure if there is conflict, we know where to tackle first. Because please, I always tell my people, I always tell anyone that I come across, don't try to do things or help any other people if you're not even good at what you're doing at your own task. You're not good at doing your own task, you don't try to help other people first.
Yeah, your core job.
Your core job needs to,
precedence.
you must take place, you must do it really well. When you're good at that, then you are ever ready to support any other people that's within that require your support. If not, then you will be looked into as though as why are you so kepoji lah, right? Trying to take other people's job, whereas your job is not even done.
Yeah. And funnily enough, that sometimes can be driven by the behavior of leaders.
Yes.
So I think if leaders are not even clear or don't have this process thing, because some leaders, they just get the task done. Just to get the task done. But like you mentioned, if you probably get the task done attitude works when you have a team of 5 or 10. But if you have a team of 20, 30 and more, you don't just want to get any task done, you want to get priorities settled.
Correct.
You want to hit goals, you want to hit targets. And that's where you have to come to a little bit more focus.
Yes.
And the reason why I asked you whether you are a process person, because I've also seen something of what can be described as a founder's trap. Where the founder wants to have a hold on everything. They want to input into everything. So that causes a lot of confusion, a lot of bottleneck.
Can I be really honest with you? It's very true. I fall in the same trap, right? But goodness, someone reminded me, and I always check myself. And I think I'm at this journey where, in growing a company, right, I need to trust. I need to let go. Right? You cannot hold everything. You hold the key areas of the business to ensure that it does not break the whole business. But there are a lot of other areas you must learn to let go and trust the people that you work with to resonate with you, who share the same vision with you, rather than keep holding on. So now I'm moving on to how do I cascade vision, cascade objective, cascade direction, rather than I give directive. You know what I mean? So I'm learning that. You're so true.
Well, Ron, it's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed our conversation. I'm also learning a lot, and I think we can just go on and on and on. Maybe one last question I would ask you is related to sales as well as building and leading teams. What are some advice or insights you can give into a context or a situation where you have a salesperson who used to be an individual contributor, so they are just in charge of delivering on their targets, but now they find themselves, rather than being just a salesperson, they are now a sales manager. They are managing a team. What are some shifts that they will have to make, and what are some advices that you will give to that kind of situation?
Number one, I think a lot of us fail to understand that being a manager and being an individual contributor have a very interesting gap in between that's called leadership. And a lot of us, like it or not, in our working journey, we spend so much time learning the hard skill, learning to be good at what we need to be good at in doing the job. But we didn't spend any time in building the leadership skill set. In sales, you reach a point where you cannot hold the quota all by yourself. Then you're forced to hire people to work with you to hit the quota, and that would actually translate you, or that would actually move you from an individual contributor to a team leader. But that's where the biggest pitfall all of us fall if we don't build leadership in between. If the individual contributor does not spend time to build their leadership quality, how to lead the team, how to motivate the team, how to manage conflict with the team.
Yeah.
Right? So if that is the case, then my suggestion is bring the individual back to an IC, give him room to build leadership quality. Because being a leader is not about being in position. Being a leader is about influencing people around you and able to resolve issues, give solution, to the circumstances or situation you are in.
Yep. And it's not just about giving instructions.
Yes.
I think that's what some people think about.
Yeah.
What being a leader is. I tell my team members what to do. I've already told them they should do it.
Correct.
But it's not as straightforward as that.
It's never like that, right? Because so that's where I always believe that if you want to become a leader or a manager or a boss, whatever the boss is, right? Please spend some time building your leadership skill. I mean, that would be my last advice. Either you're in sales, you're in finance, you're in admin, you're in marketing, or you're in engineering, or you're in technical. As you climb this corporate ladder, leadership quality and leadership attributes are really the driving factor to bring you forward. But there are individuals who does not want to be a leader.
Yep.
I'm very happy being an IC. So you as a leader, please read your people.
Yeah.
If they're not ready, they don't want to, let them be.
Or if they don't really have an interest into managing others, then it's tough.
Let them be, because they're still contributing.
Yeah. Maybe they can be positioned more as like a subject matter expert or something, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's upon us to help them.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that will be my suggestion.
Yep. Great. Thanks, Ron. I really appreciated our time together.
Thanks,
and
John.
I'm thankful that we made time to do this.
Yes.
Is there any place that people can reach out to you? Are you active on... You're not so active on social media.
I'm not very, very active on social media.
Is there a LinkedIn profile or
yes, you can,
or email that we can put?
You can reach out to me in LinkedIn at Ronny Shim, RONNYSHIM. Yeah, so you just drop me a note. I will say hi to you. But I'm not a Vivek social media user generally. Yeah, so but yes, you can always reach out to me, or you can come to my company website www.rogueasia.com.
Yep, we'll put all of those links down in the show notes. Ron, thank you again for your time. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning into this episode. If you found this helpful, I like to encourage you to like and maybe even subscribe and share it to those who you feel will benefit from this conversation. I'm John. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of THX, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.